So he starts in this idea. He says this new life, kindness, is not bitterness. It's not wrath. It's not this anger that produces sin. It's not this yelling at someone. It's not this slander or malice. These things are opposite of kindness. And if we can't be dead and alive at the same time, if we can't be the old man and the new man at the same time, guess what we can't be? We can't be these things and also be kind. And being kind to one another in this verse is an imperative, or we like to call them a command. The same command that holds the same weight from any other command that God has given us. We can't be a gossip and also be kind. We can't be one who likes to go around and yell at people and also be kind. We have to put these things away because we're not that old man. We can't have these things and also have godly kindness. He continues on and he says, put away all these things. Let all these things be put away from you along with malice. And then in verse 32, look at what the text says. Be kind to one another. Very specific. The very specific, as initially he's talking here to the church in Ephesus, and as they say this, they look around and that's who they see. Be kind to one another. Be kind to one another in the church. Do you know, as I think about the church and the dynamic of the church, or really, you could think about any dynamic of a group of people. When you get different people from different backgrounds and different upbringings and you put them all in a room together, do you know it's crazy? Like, look around. I know we don't like to do that. It's uncomfortable to look. But if you looked around, there's all different kinds of people in here. Some of you were born in Kentucky. Some of you weren't. Some of you were raised a certain way. Some of you were raised a different way. And in that, we all bring, I know we don't like to use this word either, but we all bring baggage to church sometimes. We do. We bring baggage. I'm not going to stand up here and pretend like this week wasn't a hard one. And we've brought a lot. I know specifically Jed and I and others, you may have brought a lot to worship this morning. Maybe hurt, maybe pain, maybe confusion, maybe frustration. I don't know what each of your weeks held. And sometimes we just want to be mean. Maybe we don't want to be mean, but that's what comes out. But Paul writes to the church and he says, listen, you need to be kind to one another. Do you know if there is any place we should be able to go and receive kindness, it should be his church? Do you hear what I just said? We should expect kindness when we come to his body, when we gather with his body. And I can't think of maybe anywhere else that I should have that expectation. But I should be able to have that comfort to know that no matter what my week held, I should be able to walk into his fold, whether it's at Broadway or whether it's a little church like I visited up in Minnesota last weekend, and receive kindness. But I think sometimes we don't receive kindness because people have forgotten that they put on the new man. They've forgotten that when they came up out of that water, they should have been transformed in their minds. And things come out of our mouth that are not kind. Actions are made that are not kind. And I'm speaking to myself, please understand, first and foremost. I struggle with most of that list of kindness is not. You all know me. I'm very A-type, and I'm like Peter kind of. I fly off the handle. I shoot from the hip and things just come out of my mouth sometimes, and I wish it was easier putting toothpaste back in the tube. And I regret those things because I want to be a new man that is kind. Because he tells us that this kindness flows from a tender heart. Look at what the text says in verse 32. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted. How many verses do you think there are in the New Testament that explains to us that New Testament Christianity, this new covenant, is not about external actions, but internal heart? Isn't that what the New Testament is about? He starts it back in Matthew chapter 5. You have heard it was said, but I say to you what? Even if you think about it, even if it stems from your heart. He tells us in Romans chapter 2 that it's no longer a circumcision of the flesh, but now a circumcision of what? The heart. But even Solomon back in Proverbs tells us to what? Guard our heart. From everything you do, what? Flows from it. You see, so many times I think worldly kindness produces hypocritical lips. Worldly kindness produces hypocritical lips. Because here's what happens. My lips say, it's great to see you. Man, I can't stand seeing that person. I hope you're having a good day. I hope they die today. I know I'm being extreme, but that's what comes out of our mouth. The preacher walks out, great sermon this morning. Man, we got to find a new preacher. I know we're laughing, and I appreciate the laughs. If you didn't laugh at that joke, I'd be worried. But guys, do you know what your children hear when you say unkind things about somebody at church on the way home from church on Sunday morning? They don't see the hug you gave them in the foyer. They hear the slander you said in the car on the way home. Worldly kindness produces hypocritical lips. But godly kindness, this new life kindness, flows from a tender heart. A heart that says, I love people. I know people aren't perfect, and I'm not perfect, but I genuinely want to be kind to those people. New life kindness is not an external change in manners, but an internal change of the heart. It's not about what we look like. It's about who we are. It's this new life. And I think maybe if you think about the concept of this new life, whether it's self-control that Jed talked about last week, or whether it's kindness or forgiveness or whatever other fruit of the Spirit we want to talk about, whenever you think of those ideas, maybe we aren't truly the new person like we should be, because maybe our kindness, our self-control, our love, our genuineness, our forgiveness is just a phony act. But Paul commands that this kindness flows from a tender heart. It flows from a heart that is designed by God, created in His image, with the ability to look out over a group of people and see the best in each person. A kind heart is an optimistic heart. A kind heart is somebody who looks at people and sees them for the good they've done. Even if it's one good versus 15 bads, they see the good.